The Energy Shift: How to Manage Your Focus and Drive Without Burning Out. Written by Ronnie Rowland. Published by Growth Literacy Lounge. You don't run your car until the tank runs dry. You don't leave your phone off the charger overnight and expect full performance the next day. And yet, most people treat their own energy with less strategy than their devices, pushing harder, stretching longer, and confusing burnout with bravery. Modern culture rewards the constant grind. We wear exhaustion like a status symbol. We've normalized the 12-hour day, the blinking cursor at midnight, the back-to-back meetings that never ask whether our minds are actually present. The question isn't, are you busy? It's, are you effective? Because there's a cost to this kind of invisible overdrive, and for many, that cost is clarity, creativity, and even health. The truth: energy, not time, is the foundational currency of a productive, fulfilling life. And unlike time, energy isn't fixed. It can be managed, protected, restored. You can waste it or invest it. You can deplete it by ignoring natural rhythms or amplify it by aligning with them. The problem isn't that you're doing too much. It's that you're doing the most important things at the wrong time, in the wrong way, without replenishing what you spend. Author and thinker Greg McKeown said it plainly: if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. And that's what happens when we ignore energy. We live reactively, not rhythmically. We respond instead of design. Our best hours are surrendered to trivial work, and our worst hours are filled with guilt for not performing better. This book is not about slowing down for the sake of it. It's about becoming intentional, shifting from chaos to cadence. You'll learn how to identify your peak energy zones, how to guard them, and how to build your days around a rhythm that actually sustains you. It's about working with your biology, not against it. It's about creating momentum without collapse. You'll find a new way of approaching focus, drive, and renewal, because you don't need more hustle. You need a better rhythm. And once you master that rhythm, everything changes, not just how you work, but how you live. Chapter 1: The Invisible Drain. Many people wake up already behind. The phone lights up before the eyes do. Notifications pulse. Meetings await. The race begins, and doesn't stop until the body collapses back into bed, spent but strangely unsatisfied. Another day blurred by motion, but not necessarily meaning. It's easy to blame the external noise. But the real problem lies deeper. We are managing our time while ignoring our energy. Imagine a house with a slow, silent leak beneath the floorboards. Everything above looks functional until, one day, the wood buckles. By then, the damage is expensive. The same quiet erosion happens inside high-functioning people. The calendar is full. The goals are noble. But beneath the hustle, something essential is leaking away: focus, clarity, vitality. And because it's not dramatic, it goes unnoticed. This invisible drain is the modern epidemic. We applaud endurance and confuse exhaustion with achievement. We run on fumes, caffeine, and pressure, hoping the next win will make the fatigue worth it. But the brain was never built for non-stop output. It's wired for cycles, bursts of focused energy, followed by intentional recovery. Push past these rhythms long enough, and performance doesn't just plateau, it declines. And worse, the decline feels personal, as if we're the problem. As if we're weak. Science tells a different story. The brain operates on ultradian rhythms, natural cycles of high focus lasting 90 to 120 minutes, followed by a dip where the body signals for rest. Ignore that signal, and the brain compensates with cortisol and stress hormones. Over time, this leads to burnout, mood swings, and cognitive fatigue. What feels like a motivation issue is often an energy management failure. But because energy is invisible, unlike time, it rarely gets tracked. There's no energy calendar, no hourly gauge showing internal depletion, so we push harder. We override signals. We reward effort and sacrifice while dismissing the wisdom of our own biology. The cost? Creativity dims, relationships fray, health whispers, then shouts. A high achiever in their early 30s once described it as driving with the check engine light on for years. They had the success, the title, the admiration, but they also had chronic fatigue, irritability, and a sense that life was always moving faster than they could catch up with. The problem wasn't ambition. It was unsustainable pacing. Energy, like money, needs budgeting. Not all tasks cost the same. An hour spent on strategic thinking drains more than an hour of administrative work. A tense conversation with a colleague can burn through the same reserves needed for creative output. And yet, most people plan their day by the clock, not by the energy cost of what they're doing. This chapter isn't about guilt, it's about clarity. If you felt tired, scattered, or emotionally flat, you're not broken. You're likely drained, and you're not alone. The invisible drain affects entrepreneurs, parents, teachers, leaders, and anyone who gives more than they replenish. The first shift is awareness. You can't optimize what you don't recognize. The next chapters will show you how to identify your energy patterns, protect your peak zones, and restore what's been lost. But it starts here, with the realization that hustle without rhythm leads not to greatness, but to depletion. Because even the best engines seize up when they run too long without oil. Your focus, your creativity, your drive, they're not unlimited. They're sacred resources, and they deserve to be treated as such. Energy is a finite, renewable resource that's often mismanaged. Constant output without recovery leads to long-term cognitive and emotional decline. Awareness of your energy drain is the first step towards sustainable productivity. Where in your life are you ignoring signs of energy depletion? Today, pause 3 times to notice your energy, not your schedule. What's rising? What's fading? Just observe. Chapter 2. Your battery is lying. A phone flashes 40% battery. You know what that means. It's not dead, but you're mindful. You dim the screen, close apps, maybe even switch to battery saver. But when your body hits 40%, there's no warning, no blinking icon, no red bar to prompt caution. You keep going, sometimes harder. You override fatigue with caffeine, momentum, and pressure. Unlike your devices, your energy doesn't display a percentage, but that doesn't mean it's not running low. This invisibility is a trap. People assume they're functioning fine because they're upright, typing, and talking. They mistake movement for capacity. But energy doesn't just mean physical stamina. It's cognitive clarity, emotional presence, and creative fire, and it fluctuates constantly, affected by sleep, stress, food, light, conversations, decisions, even temperature. Most people have never been taught to notice their inner battery, so they misread the signals, suppress them, or override them entirely. There's a name for this: energy blindness. It's the modern condition of ignoring our internal state because we're so focused on output. Like trying to run a marathon while wearing noise-canceling headphones, unable to hear the gasps, the heartbeat, the fatigue setting in. Over time, this detachment leads to detonation. The body speaks louder. Sleep becomes shallow. Mornings feel like molasses. Joy flattens. And still, people keep asking, why can't I focus? The truth is, your body is already talking. You just haven't learned its language. Start simple. Throughout the day, pause and ask, what's my charge level right now? Not productivity, energy. A scale of high, medium, or low. No need for numbers. Just name what's true. Are you sharp and alert? Foggy and distracted? Wired but depleted? Over time, you'll see patterns. Maybe you crash at 2 p.m. every day. Maybe your mornings are golden, but late nights are hollow. These patterns are your operating manual, hidden in plain sight. A corporate executive once began doing this exercise every 2 hours. She discovered her real peak was 8:30 to 10 a.m., not after lunch, when she had scheduled all her strategy meetings. Within a week of shifting those meetings to her surge window, her clarity doubled and decisions flowed faster. Nothing changed externally. She just aligned her work with her real energy curve. Tracking energy isn't about being soft or indulgent. It's about being strategic. Just as you wouldn't start a race on a half-empty tank, why launch your most important work when your mind is foggy and your body is low? Energy awareness isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's a decision to partner with your biology rather than bully it. And here's the paradox. Once you begin tuning into your battery, you'll notice how often you've been lying to yourself. You said you were fine. But really, you were coasting. You said just 1 more hour. But your system was already blinking red. You thought a nap was lazy. But it might have been the thing that saved your entire afternoon. We've been trained to equate stillness with laziness, but nature never functions that way. Trees grow in cycles. Tides ebb before they surge. Even volcanoes rest before eruption. You're not a machine. You're a rhythm, and every rhythm needs a rest note. This chapter isn't about slowing down, it's about syncing up. You'll get more done better when you do it in harmony with your internal charge. Your battery has been talking. Now you're finally listening. Energy fluctuates constantly. Ignoring it leads to burnout and poor decisions. Most people are energy blind, mistaking motion for capacity. Learning to read your inner battery is a gateway to better focus, creativity, and endurance. When during your day do you feel most alert, and when do you feel drained? For one full day, check in with your energy level every 2 hours. Just observe and record high, medium, or low. Patterns will begin to emerge. Chapter 3. Focus as currency. Focus is no longer a given. It's a commodity, traded, taxed, and stolen. Everywhere you look, someone is vying for it. Notifications ping like auctioneers, tabs multiply, conversations overlap. And beneath it all, a quiet erosion takes place, attention slips, not all at once, but in fragments. The cost? Deeper than missed tasks or forgotten names. Focus is the gatekeeper of clarity, creativity, and meaningful progress. Lose it, and everything downstream suffers. Think of your focus like a currency, finite, valuable, and easily squandered. Every time you switch tasks, check your phone, or respond to a low-priority interruption, you're spending it. Like pulling bills from a wallet without noticing until it's empty. And by mid-afternoon, most people feel like bankrupt investors wondering where the hours went. This isn't accidental. Modern platforms are engineered for distraction. Infinite scrolls, autoplay videos, algorithmic hooks, all built to hijack your attention. And while each interruption feels small, their cumulative effect is devastating. Research shows it can take up to 23 minutes to fully regain focus after a single disruption. Multiply that by 10, and you've spent half your day in recovery, not creation. But the problem runs deeper than devices. It's about internal fragmentation, the inability to be fully present with one task, one idea, one conversation. Even when the phone is silent, the mind races, toggling between what's undone and what's next. This mental tab switching drains energy faster than almost any physical activity. Because focus is metabolic, it burns glucose, demands oxygen, and uses executive brain function. It's not just mental, it's biological. A software engineer once described his afternoon coding sessions as mental sprinting with sandbags tied to my ankles. He wasn't physically tired, but every ping and Slack message shattered his momentum. He realized that focus wasn't just about turning distractions off. It was about guarding his cognitive economy. So he began treating his attention like money, budgeting it, protecting it, and spending it only where it mattered most. This reframe changes everything. Instead of asking, "How much time do I have today?" ask, "How much focus can I afford?" A 10-minute window of deep focus is worth more than an hour of scattered multitasking. When you begin to see focus as currency, you stop measuring productivity by hours worked and start measuring by depth reached. And just like money, attention needs investment strategies. Where will you spend it for the highest return? What drains are you allowing that don't deserve your energy? When you track your spending, mental or financial, you quickly spot leaks. And here's the truth. Most of us are leaking attention all day long. Leaks look like compulsive inbox checks, low priority to-do lists, overcommitment to meetings, or starting the day in reaction mode instead of intention. The shift begins when you take back ownership. Start your day by identifying one high-focus task, just one, that deserves your prime attention. Schedule it for your surge window, turn off all potential interruptions, and treat it as sacred. That's not indulgence. That's energy economics. Focus is finite. It renews with rest, and is drained by clutter. If you treat it like an unlimited well, you'll find yourself dry by noon. But if you honor it, guard it like treasure, you'll begin to produce work that's not just faster, but deeper, more resonant, and more satisfying. Attention is the gateway drug to transformation. Guard it. Invest it. And watch everything else shift. Focus is limited and easily depleted. It must be managed like money. Distractions, even minor, dramatically reduce productivity and cognitive momentum. Deep, intentional focus during peak energy windows yields higher quality output. Where are you spending your attention on low-value tasks or interruptions? Tomorrow, block 90 minutes for one high-focus task. Silence all devices, close all tabs, and treat that window as inviolable. Chapter 4. The Rhythm Principle. Nature runs on rhythms. The tide doesn't ask for permission before it shifts. The sun doesn't stay up late to answer more emails. Trees do not rush through winter. And yet, humans, despite being nature ourselves, often live in defiance of rhythm. We chase consistency, but not the kind our biology was built for. We aim to be always on, always producing, always pushing forward, as if we're machines. But we're not machines, we're symphonies, and every symphony needs rest notes. Inside every human body, there's a clock far older than any smartwatch. Scientists call them ultradian rhythms, internal cycles that govern energy, focus, and alertness. These cycles operate in 90 to 120-minute waves, where the brain enters a peak state of concentration, followed by a natural dip. It's the body's signal to pause, reset, and recover. But modern culture ignores the dip. Instead of yielding to the ebb, we hit the gas. We override the signal with sugar, screens, and stress. And in doing so, we trade rhythm for resistance. This resistance has a price. When we ignore the body's cue for recovery, our cognitive sharpness dulls, errors increase, patience shortens, creativity withers. What was once a clear stream of thought becomes a muddied puddle. And yet, we press on, believing the answer is more effort, more hours, more push. But no matter how hard you press, a drained battery cannot perform. Rhythm isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Elite performers understand this. Musicians don't play every note at once. Athletes don't train nonstop. Writers pause to reflect, reset, breathe. It's not about doing less. It's about doing things at the right time, in sync with the wave. Surfing is impossible without timing. So is sustainable focus. A startup founder once restructured her workday after learning about ultradian rhythms. Instead of back-to-back meetings all morning, she began scheduling deep work blocks in 90-minute segments, each followed by a 20-minute renewal break, walks, stretching, music, or even nothing at all. Within a week, her output increased. But more than that, her energy felt steady. She wasn't dragging herself through the afternoon anymore. She was riding the rhythm. The key isn't to add more hours, it's to align the hours you already have. Start by mapping your natural waves. When do you feel most alert, most sluggish? What tasks match those energies? Pair your highest value, most mentally demanding work with your peak rhythm. Save low-focus tasks, email, errands, admin for your valleys. Treat your dips not as obstacles, but as invitations to restore. The rest is not separate from the work, it is the work. This rhythm-based approach is not a soft alternative to productivity. It's a smarter one. Because productivity that ignores biology is brittle, but productivity that partners with rhythm becomes resilient. It flows, it scales, and it sustains. You've likely felt these rhythms before without knowing their name. That moment in the late morning when your mind clicks into gear. Or the strange fog that rolls in mid-afternoon, no matter how motivated you are. These aren't flaws. They are features. They're the operating system whispering, "Work with me, and I'll give you more." There is no shame in the wave. There is power in honoring it. When you stop measuring your day by hours and start measuring it by rhythm, you begin to play a different game, one of alignment over strain, flow over force. You are not meant to run flat. You are meant to rise and recede, to focus and recover, to surge and reset. In the rhythm is the power. All you have to do is listen. Your brain operates in ultradian rhythms, natural 90 to 120-minute energy cycles. Ignoring these rhythms leads to reduced focus and productivity. Aligning your tasks with your natural energy waves increases both output and sustainability. When during your day do you notice natural peaks and dips in your energy or focus? Tomorrow, structure your work into one 90-minute surge window followed by a 20-minute renewal break. Observe the difference. Chapter 5. Surge State. There's a window each day when the mind feels sharp, the body responsive, the spirit quietly alert. Ideas connect faster. Decisions come cleaner, work feels less like pushing and more like flowing. This is your surge state, the golden stretch of peak energy where high-impact tasks can move from intention to completion with surprising ease. But for most, this window is squandered. It gets given to email, to meetings, to the minor over the meaningful. And then it closes, unnoticed, and the day becomes a series of increasingly tired attempts to catch up. The surge window isn't magic. It's biology. It's the crest of your ultradian rhythm, the 90 to 120-minute cycle where your brain is primed for deep focus and creative output. This isn't just a productivity theory. EEG scans show heightened brainwave activity during this phase. Neurotransmitters like dopamine and norepinephrine fire in patterns that enhance memory, motivation, and learning. It's your brain at its best, and it's time limited. Miss the window, and you don't get it back, not that day. You can't force a surge once the cycle dips. You can override it temporarily, but you'll pay the cost in mistakes, rework, and fatigue. The goal, then, isn't to stretch your surge but to protect it, recognize it, prepare for it, and channel it into what matters most. One marketing director described how his mornings used to vanish into reactive tasks. After learning about surge windows, he shifted his schedule. From 9 to 10:30 a.m., he shut off notifications, postponed meetings, and tackled his most strategic projects. The difference, he said, was like trying to row upstream before versus catching the current now. In 3 focused hours, he did more than he used to accomplish in entire afternoons. Access your surge. First, you must observe. Track your alertness across a week. When do you feel most mentally alive? When do ideas click without force? That's your surge window. Most people find it within 2 to 4 hours after waking, but everyone's rhythm is different. Don't assume. Discover. Once you identify it, treat it as sacred. Put it on your calendar like a meeting with your highest self. Let no distractions through. Silence devices, close tabs. Let others know. This is not an optional margin. This is essential momentum. What should go into this window? Only your highest leverage work, the thinking, planning, creating, or problem-solving that moves the needle. This is not the time for low-effort tasks. Surge windows are where books get written, strategies formed, and systems built. Give them the attention they deserve. And prepare for them. Like an athlete warms up before the race, create a ritual that cues your mind to enter the zone. It could be a short walk, a cup of tea, a cleared desk, or a 5-minute breath reset. What matters is consistency. When the body and mind receive the signal, they respond faster and stay focused longer. Protecting your surge window may feel selfish at first. Others may not understand. But protecting it isn't about doing less for others. It's about showing up with more clarity, energy, and creativity when it truly counts. It's an act of service, not withdrawal. The difference between good and great often lies in what we do with our best energy. Don't scatter it. Don't spend it on shallow work. Channel it like a laser. Guard it like gold, because once you know the value of your surge, wasting it feels like burning cash. You don't need more time. You need to master your best time. Surge windows are natural peaks of energy and focus within your daily rhythm. Identifying and protecting this window unlocks your most productive, creative state. High-leverage work belongs in your surge window, nothing else. When during your day do you feel most mentally sharp, and how are you currently using that time? Block 90 minutes during your next surge window. Eliminate all interruptions and focus solely on one high-impact task. Chapter 6: Refueling Zones. A race car doesn't win by skipping pit stops. It wins by timing them with precision. No matter how powerful the engine, how skilled the driver, or how smooth the track, every vehicle needs to pause, recalibrate, and refuel. The same principle applies to human performance. Yet, in a culture obsessed with output, rest is often seen as a weakness, an interruption, or a reward for finishing. In reality, rest is part of the process. It's not separate from your productivity, it's what sustains it. Most people operate with a flawed mental model that energy is static throughout the day, and recovery happens only after everything else is done. So they push through the midday dip, numb with caffeine, ignoring the mental fog and muscle tension. They wear fatigue like a badge. But what they're really doing is skipping their pit stop, and over time, even the best engines burn out. Refueling doesn't mean checking out for hours. It means honoring the body's built-in signals, those subtle cues of tension, distraction, or low mood, and responding with intentional recovery. A 20-minute walk, a quiet pause, a breath practice, even a few minutes of stillness can reset the system. Neuroscience backs this. Short, deliberate breaks allow the brain's default mode network to activate, a system that restores attention, consolidates learning, and sparks creativity. The irony is, what looks unproductive on the surface, sitting in silence, staring out a window, stretching, is often the most productive choice in the long run. Because true productivity is not about volume, it's about velocity sustained over time, and recovery is what makes that possible. A project manager once integrated refuel breaks into her daily calendar. At first it felt forced. She would step away from her desk, unsure of what to do. But soon she began taking short walks, listening to music, even doing nothing at all. The results startled her. Not only did her afternoon energy improve, but her stress levels dropped. She made fewer mistakes. Her team noticed she was calmer, more present. The breaks didn't cost time, they returned it, with interest. This is the paradox of rest. It feels like a pause, but it's actually propulsion. Imagine a bow being drawn back before it launches an arrow. The draw is the rest. The arrow is the surge. Without the draw, there is no power. Without the pause, there is no precision. Rest is not retreat. It is preparation. To integrate refueling into your rhythm, begin by noticing your dips. When does your focus fade? When do you reach for sugar or distraction? That's your body requesting renewal. Don't wait for burnout to take the hint. Build intentional breaks into your schedule, especially after surge windows. Make them non-negotiable. And choose the kind of rest that restores you. For some, it's movement. For others, quiet. For many, it's a change of environment or pace. What matters is not the form but the function. The break should reset your mental state and return you to a place of clarity and readiness. Culturally, we need to redefine what it means to be on. Being on doesn't mean grinding without pause. It means knowing when to push and when to pull back, when to act and when to renew. This dance between effort and ease isn't optional. It's optimal. It's how nature sustains itself. And you are not separate from nature. The engine that never cools cracks. The mind that never pauses dulls. But the one that learns to refuel, not just at the end of the day, but in the middle of it, keeps running longer, stronger, and with far more joy. Recovery isn't a break from productivity, it's what enables it. Short, intentional pauses throughout the day restore clarity, energy, and resilience. Regular refueling prevents burnout and enhances long-term performance. What kind of short break genuinely refuels you, and when could you start scheduling it? Take one 15-20-minute refuel break today. No phone, no tasks. Just pause and observe how your mind and body respond. Chapter 7. The Myth of Multitasking. The illusion is seductive. 2 things at once, twice the progress. Answer emails while on a call. Scan documents during meetings. Flip between spreadsheets and strategy like a mental gymnast. It feels efficient. It looks impressive. But beneath the surface, something's cracking. Focus splinters. Retention fades. Stress creeps in, and the work, though plentiful, becomes shallow. Because multitasking isn't real productivity, it's a performance, and your brain knows it. Neuroscience has made the verdict clear. The prefrontal cortex, which governs decision-making, focus, and problem-solving, does not process multiple complex tasks simultaneously. What it does is switch, rapidly and inefficiently, between tasks. Each switch costs time and energy. Every toggle adds friction. The result is mental fatigue that accumulates like static. What feels like flow is often cognitive chaos. Researchers call it task switching cost. One study from the University of California found that switching between tasks can reduce productivity by as much as 40%. But the damage goes deeper than output. Frequent switching raises cortisol levels, increases error rates, and diminishes creativity. It doesn't just slow you down, it wears you down. Still, the myth persists. Because in the short term, multitasking delivers dopamine hits. Each new tab, each pinged notification, offers novelty. and novelty feels like progress. But this form of stimulation is deceptive. It's a sugar rush with no nutrients. You feel busy, but you're not moving the work that matters. You're circling it. A tech consultant once tracked his own work patterns over a week. What he found startled him. His deepest, most productive thinking happened in blocks of single-task focus, fewer than he realized. The rest of his time was fragmented across shallow responses and digital noise. He realized that multitasking hadn't made him faster, it had made him forget what deep work even felt like. Focus is like light. When scattered, it illuminates nothing. When concentrated, it becomes a laser, precise, powerful, and transformative. And this laser state, what researchers call deep work, is where real breakthroughs happen. Strategy gets clear. Writing sharpens. Complex problems unravel. It's not just a better way to work, it's a different experience of consciousness. To reclaim this state, start by clearing the clutter. One task. One tab. One goal. Block time on your calendar not just for work, but for deep work. Let it be device-free, interruption-proof, and clearly defined. Then, give yourself permission to immerse. You don't have to earn that space by clearing your inbox first. In fact, the inbox can wait. Your best thinking cannot. It may feel awkward at first. Like learning to walk again after months of sprinting in circles. Your mind may resist. It will itch for stimulation. Let it itch. That discomfort is detox. It's your focus recalibrating. Stay with it. On the other side is a kind of attention that feels rare, sacred, and deeply satisfying. The real flex in modern work isn't juggling 10 things. It's doing one thing completely. It's protecting the depth that distraction threatens to steal. Because while anyone can stay busy, it takes discipline to go deep, and in a world where shallow work is the norm, depth becomes a competitive advantage. You don't need to do more at once. You need to do the right thing, without interruption, and let your full mind arrive. Multitasking is a myth. Mastery is singular. Multitasking is really rapid task switching, which drains energy and reduces output. Deep work requires uninterrupted, single-task focus, and it yields higher quality results. Protecting focus from fragmentation is essential for meaningful productivity. Where in your day are you unknowingly multitasking, and how is it affecting your results? Block 60 minutes today for one single task. No notifications, no switching. Just focus. See how it changes the quality of your work. Chapter 8. Decision Fatigue. You wake up and start deciding what to wear, what to eat, which task to tackle first, whether to reply now or later. Tiny choices, barely noticed, pile up, and by afternoon, something strange happens. You feel foggy, irritable, indecisive. It's not always physical exhaustion. It's mental depletion. This is decision fatigue, the invisible tax on your clarity and energy that compounds silently as the day unfolds. Every decision, no matter how small, draws from the same cognitive budget. Choosing between 2 emails, 2 routes, or 2 brands of toothpaste may seem trivial, but each demands a slice of mental effort. Over time, these slices accumulate. What begins as sharp focus becomes a dull edge, and unlike physical tiredness, decision fatigue isn't always felt in the body. It shows up in poor judgment, procrastination, impulsive choices, or avoiding choices altogether. Psychologist Roy Baumeister, a pioneer in this field, found that people who made a series of decisions, even unrelated ones, became measurably worse at self-control, the logical reasoning, and planning as the day progressed. This helps explain why judges are more likely to deny parole later in the day, or why people abandon their healthy eating goals at night. The mental fuel simply runs low. And it doesn't take major life decisions to drain you. The hundreds of micro choices we face, text now or later, respond with urgency or delay, read this or that, chip away at the reservoir. The more cluttered your inputs, the faster the depletion. And once depleted, the brain shifts into autopilot, defaulting to habit, emotion, or avoidance. One entrepreneur learned this lesson the hard way. His mornings were sharp, productive, but by late afternoon he found himself making snap decisions he later regretted, approving too much, reacting too strongly. The fix wasn't more effort. It was fewer choices. He began pre-deciding his meals, automating low-stakes tasks, and batching decisions into scheduled blocks. Within weeks, his energy in the second half of the day felt dramatically different. The solution to decision fatigue isn't making better decisions, it's making fewer unnecessary ones. This begins with what's called decision hygiene, the art of simplifying, automating, and front-loading choices so your energy can be saved for what matters. Lay out clothes the night before. Eat the same breakfast during the week. Schedule your key tasks in advance, not reactively. These may seem like small habits, but together, they reclaim mental bandwidth for deeper thinking. Boundaries also protect your decision economy. Saying yes to every meeting, request, or opportunity keeps you in reactive mode. When you define what gets your attention ahead of time, you remove dozens of decisions before they ever arrive. This isn't rigidity, it's strategy. Clarity preempts fatigue. Environments matter too. Cluttered spaces and unfiltered inputs force micro-decisions constantly: where to look, what to read, what to ignore. Simplifying your surroundings can be a form of mental conservation. A tidy workspace isn't just aesthetically pleasing, it's neurologically calming. Decision fatigue is rarely about intelligence. It's about architecture. Smart people burn out every day because their systems are chaotic. They've built lives that require constant choosing without protection or design. But when you shift from reactive choices to proactive systems, something powerful happens. You think clearer, move faster, and feel less drained by mid-afternoon. In a world of infinite options, restraint becomes power. The fewer choices you must make, the more energy you have for the ones that truly count. Simplicity, it turns out, is not just elegant, it's efficient. And freedom doesn't come from unlimited options, it comes from making space for what matters most. Decision fatigue drains mental energy and leads to poorer choices over time. Simplifying, automating, and front-loading decisions preserves cognitive fuel. Systems and environments that reduce micro-decisions enhance clarity and performance. Which decisions in your daily routine could be simplified or eliminated altogether? Choose one decision you make daily, like lunch, wardrobe, or scheduling, and automate or pre-plan it for the rest of the week. Chapter 9. Energy Boundaries. Every yes is a silent no to something else. Agree to the extra meeting. And you're saying no to focused work. Accept the weekend project, and you're saying no to rest. Most people don't see it that way. They say yes out of habit, guilt, or fear of missing out. But over time, those yeses stack up like weights on a barbell, quietly crushing the very energy they're trying to preserve. What starts as generosity becomes depletion. What feels like being helpful becomes unsustainable. Boundaries are not barriers. They are borders with purpose. They don't keep people out, they keep your energy in, and without them, even the most focused person burns out. Because boundaries aren't just about time, they're about access. Who or what gets your focus? When? How often? On whose terms? Energy leaks when you don't answer these questions clearly. Many people associate boundaries with conflict, but boundaries, at their best, are preemptive, not reactive. They're not fences thrown up in frustration, they're agreements set in clarity. You don't need to wait until you're overwhelmed to set one. In fact, the most powerful boundaries are the ones you create before they're urgently needed. A creative director once found herself drowning in obligations. Her calendar was filled with back-to-back meetings, late-night emails, and endless requests for quick favors. She wasn't trying to please everyone, she simply hadn't paused to define what truly deserved her energy. So she sat down and listed her non-negotiables: deep work blocks, screen-free evenings, and a hard stop at 6 p.m. every day. At first, the shift felt bold. But what happened next surprised her. Her colleagues respected her more, not less. Because clarity breeds respect. Saying no doesn't make you difficult. It makes you deliberate. And how you say no matters. You don't need to justify, defend, or over-explain. A simple "I'm at capacity right now," or "that doesn't align with my priorities this week" is enough. When spoken with calm resolve, these statements create spaciousness without drama. Boundaries are also internal. It's not just about what others ask of you, it's about what you ask of yourself. Are you checking work messages at midnight, filling every free moment with noise? Pushing through exhaustion because rest feels lazy? Sometimes the most violated boundaries are the ones we ignore within. Technology blurs the lines even more. Constant connectivity makes it easy for work to spill into rest, for notifications to invade recovery, for urgency to disguise itself as importance. That's why digital boundaries matter. Turn off non-essential notifications, set device curfews. Create screen-free zones in your home. These aren't rigid rules, they're recovery rituals. The truth is, you teach people how to treat your energy by how you protect it. If everything is urgent, nothing is. If everyone gets immediate access, no one gets your best self. But when you define your limits and honor them, you become more present, more powerful, and more sustainable. Boundaries don't shrink your life. They sharpen it. They strip away the noise and reveal what truly matters. They create room for creativity, rest, and meaningful contribution, and they allow you to give from overflow, not obligation. The most energized people aren't the ones doing the most. They're the ones doing the right things with intention and leaving space for renewal. Boundaries make that possible. Not someday, now. Boundaries protect your energy by controlling access to your time, focus, and presence. Saying no with clarity is essential for sustainable performance and well-being. Internal and digital boundaries are just as important as external ones. Where in your life are you saying yes out of obligation instead of intention? Identify one energy-draining commitment this week and decline, or reschedule it. Use clear, respectful language, and observe how it feels. Chapter 10. The Digital Drain. It starts small. A notification buzz, a quick check, a scroll that turns into 5, then 10, then 30 minutes. The brain, lulled into passive consumption, slowly detaches from depth. Focus slips. Time blurs, and energy, once full of direction, drips away unnoticed. This is the digital drain, and it's one of the most pervasive energy leaks of modern life. Devices were meant to serve us, but they've been designed to seduce us. The average person taps, swipes, or clicks their phone over 2,500 times a day, most of it unconscious, most of it reactive, and while each individual interaction feels minor, the cumulative effect is massive. Every alert, every notification, every decision about whether to check or not, these are tiny tolls on your attention. And attention, as we've seen, is energy. Tech companies hire behavioral scientists to make apps addictive. Features like infinite scroll, red receipts, and color-coded badges aren't accidental. They're engineered triggers. They activate dopamine pathways, the same ones used in gambling, to keep you engaged. What feels like choice is often compulsion. But the true cost isn't just time, it's cognitive fragmentation. The more often your attention is interrupted, the less capable your brain becomes at sustained focus. You become conditioned to skimming, scanning, and switching. Depth feels harder. Stillness feels uncomfortable. The mind, once capable of immersive thought, now flits across surfaces like a skipping stone. A nonprofit leader realized this when she couldn't finish a single book. She wasn't too busy, she was too scattered, so she conducted a 1-week digital audit. Every time she picked up her phone without a purpose, she made a tally mark. By Friday, she had over 90. That awareness alone shifted her behavior. She began scheduling intentional screen time and, more importantly, intentional screen breaks. Her focus didn't just return, it sharpened. This isn't about demonizing technology. It's about reclaiming authority over it. Your phone isn't evil, but it is persuasive. Without boundaries, it will invade every margin of your day, especially the moments meant for recovery. Ever notice how breaks now mean reaching for a screen? Even rest has been digitized. But screens don't restore, they stimulate. And overstimulation masquerading as relaxation is one of the biggest lies of our age. Digital hygiene is the antidote. It begins with awareness, but it lives in design. Turn off all non-essential notifications. Use grayscale mode to reduce visual triggers. Remove apps from your home screen. Charge your phone outside your bedroom. Create sacred screen-free windows in your day. First hour after waking, last hour before bed, and during all meals. These aren't restrictions. They're renovations. You're rebuilding space for clarity. And for some, deeper resets are needed. Consider a digital Sabbath, 1 full day a week without screens, or a dopamine fast, 24 hours without high-stimulation inputs. These resets feel radical because dependency is normalized. But once experienced, the stillness becomes addictive in the best way. Not empty, but rich. Not boring, but peaceful. Technology is a tool. But when it manages you instead of the other way around, it becomes a thief of energy, of presence, of peace. You don't need to abandon it. You just need to reframe the relationship. Ask not just what your devices give you, but what they take. Then decide, with clarity and courage, what you're willing to give back. You can't eliminate all digital noise, but you can choose how much of it you invite in, and in that choice is power. Technology drains energy through constant stimulation, distraction, and decision fatigue. Most digital habits are unconscious and reactive. Retraining attention starts with awareness. Creating digital boundaries restores focus, clarity, and cognitive depth. Where is technology enhancing your life, and where is it quietly consuming your energy? Choose one screen-free hour today. No devices, no scrolling. Just space. See what returns when stimulation fades. Chapter 11. Sustainable Drive. Ambition without limits becomes a liability. The drive to build, lead, and contribute is powerful, but when untethered from rhythm, it burns through the very fuel it depends on. The problem isn't working hard. It's working endlessly. What many call grind is often just glorified exhaustion, and what looks like commitment can quietly become collapse in disguise. Sustainable drive doesn't resist effort, it resists imbalance. High performers often live at the edge of overextension. They get praised for pushing, for being available, for powering through. But beneath the surface, their systems fray. The signs start small: difficulty concentrating, shorter tempers, subtle cynicism. Then the body joins the rebellion: poor sleep, low immunity, drained mornings. This isn't laziness creeping in. It's a system protesting the pace. True sustainability means aligning your effort with your energy, not just for a day or a week, but as a way of life. It means designing days that protect surge windows, honor rest, and eliminate unnecessary friction. It's not a to-do list upgrade, it's a philosophy shift, one that says presence matters more than performance, depth matters more than volume, and rhythm matters more than grind. A startup founder once restructured his daily routine after experiencing persistent burnout. He used to start working the moment he woke, and continued late into the night, wearing productivity like armor. But after a health scare, he adopted an energy-first design: 3 90-minute work sprints with recovery between, a midday break for movement, and a digital cutoff by 8 p.m. The result? His output improved, his creativity surged, and his team followed suit. The system didn't just work for him, it changed his culture. Designing for sustainable drive starts with clarity. What are your true priorities? Not everything matters equally. Identify your top 3 daily outcomes, just 3, then pair each with your energy rhythms. Place your highest cognitive load task in your first surge window. Batch shallow work into your valleys. Build in recovery between. Let the shape of your day reflect the wisdom of your biology. Eliminate friction where possible. Streamline routines. Automate decisions. Say no to commitments that dilute your focus. Remove redundant meetings. Protect white space, not as a luxury, but as a tool for clarity. Simplicity isn't boring. It's powerful. It gives your energy room to move, to concentrate, to renew. And remember, sustainability isn't just about work, it's about life design. Are your evenings restorative or numbing? Are weekends a reset or a scramble? Do your relationships fuel you or drain you? These questions aren't secondary, they're central, because energy is holistic. You can't isolate it to one domain. Everything feeds the engine or siphons it. You don't need a perfect routine. You need a flexible structure that honors your humanity, one that adjusts with seasons, stages, and stress levels. Rigidity leads to rebellion. Rhythm leads to resilience. The goal isn't to live a scripted life, it's to build a responsive one that knows how to push, and when to pause, when to go fast and when to go deep. The people who sustain their drive over decades don't have superhuman stamina. They have systems, and those systems are built on honoring energy, not defying it. They create not from urgency, but from centeredness. They lead not from chaos, but from clarity. This is the heart of sustainable drive, designing a day that doesn't just push you forward but pulls you deeper into alignment, into rhythm, into presence. Because momentum without intention is just movement, but when energy and structure unite, your life begins to hum, not in overdrive, but in harmony. Sustainable drive is built on rhythm, recovery, and energy-first structure. Designing your day around your energy, not the clock, creates longevity and clarity. Systems, not willpower, are what support high performance over time. What part of your daily routine could be redesigned to better align with your natural energy? Tomorrow, choose one surge window and one recovery block. Schedule both, and treat them as equally non-negotiable. Take care and be well.